In the following minutes, your mind will be blown away. This video will show you the presence of God in numbers. Please pay close attention.
I was asked last week to go to meet with a billionaire who wanted to be proven that God exists through mathematics. So I started off with 0 to the power of 0 equals what? Most people would expect it to be 0, but the answer is actually 1. If you take 0.999999999 and take it out infinitely, does it ever become the number 1? And the answer is yes.
Robert Edward Grant discusses the unique property of the number 9 in mathematics. He explains, when you add it to any other number and then add the digits of the result together until you get a single digit, it seems like the 9 disappears. For example, if you add 9 to 4, you get 13. But if you add the 1 and the 3 together, you get 4 again, the original number you added 9 to. Another interesting thing about the number 9 is how 0.999999 repeating actually equals 1. This has been proven by mathematicians including Leonhard Euler. This shows that 0.999 isn't just close to 1, it actually is 1. This leads to an interesting idea about 9 acting like both 0 and 1. Looking into another curious case explained by Robert, consider 0 raised to the power of 0. Many might think it should be 0, but in many cases mathematicians define it as 1. This may not seem to make sense at first, but if you look closer to numbers close to 0 raised to their own powers, you see that as they get smaller, the result gets closer and closer to 1.
If you go on Google Calculator right now and do 0 to the power of 0, it'll give you the answer as 1. But let's go beyond that to understand why does 0 to the power of 0 actually equal 1. In truth, not just because it's some mathematical definition that somebody came along and said it must be so. So if you have your phone, pull it out for a second. If you take 0 to the power of 0, how could we find, without just using that as the equation, to define it as the number 1? So let's take a smaller number, 0.5 to the power of x to the y right here, that's how you do it. The same 0.5 equals 0.707. If I go with a smaller number, will the result be larger? So 0.05, the last time it was 0.5, to the power of 0.05 equals 0.86. That's bigger than 0.707. Right, so let's go 0.005 to the power of 0.005 equals 0.97. So let's do 10 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 to the power of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5, and it's 0.999999998. You see what's happening? It's converging to 1.
So 0 raised to the power of 0 equals 1 suggests a deep idea. From nothing can come everything. These examples lead us to some deep thoughts about life and the universe. They show us that mathematics isn't just about numbers and formulas. It's also about deeper truths like creation, unity, and existence. Understanding these mathematical concepts could give us insights into the divine or the structure of reality itself, suggesting that math could be the language and mechanism for profound insights and possibly even for understanding divine creation. This connection between mathematics, philosophy, and spirituality shows how interconnected everything is through the patterns and principles of numbers. Another fascinating concept is the square roots of numbers, which are often tied to philosophical and spiritual meanings. It is suggested that the square root of 2 embodies the essence or spirit of the number 2, representing the concept of infinity. This is because the square root of 2 is an irrational number, meaning its decimal goes on infinitely without repeating, which can be likened to an infinite amount of information or conversations from the past and future being contained within this number.
I could compress in an infinite amount of data into the number 2, into 1 digit, and then do an operation to square root it and get an infinite number. So that any conversation that ever existed in the past, and every conversation that will exist, can be found in those number chains that are non-repeating forever.
Similarly, the square root of 3 is seen as representing the essence of the number 3, which is associated with the divine concept of the Trinity in Christian belief, linking it to a sense of completeness and spirituality.
We can think that the square root of 2 is the essence of duality, and duality sucks. This world is suffering. This world is difficulty. When we start to add it together to the essence of the divine Trinity, what is the square root of 2 plus the square root of 3? Would you be surprised to know that it is approximately pi. So when you add the duality aspect to the divine aspect, you get the full circle, completion, holy, holiness. 1.732050 is the square root of 3, and 1.4142 is the square root of 2. You add those together, they equal 3.146. Very, very close to pi.
This idea is further enhanced by connecting the sum to the golden ratio, another deeply significant mathematical relationship found in nature, art, and architecture, which underscores the natural balance and expansion seen in the universe. This expansion follows patterns like the Fibonacci sequence, used here as an example of natural growth and complexity emerging from simple rules. Now let me show you a few numbers that are repeating all over the place in the universe. The number 432 is often mentioned in various contexts and considered significant in different cultures and theories, particularly those involving esoteric and ancient knowledge. Here are a few instances where the number 432 is seen as significant. The diameter of the moon is often cited as being 2,160 miles, which is a multiple of 432. 432 times 5 equals 2,160. The frequency 432 Hz is popular among some musicians and listeners who believe it produces a more harmonious and pleasant sound compared to the standard 440 Hz used in most modern music. This frequency is thought to be more in tune with the natural world. In Hindu cosmology, the Kali Yuga, which is the current age of the world known for moral decline, is said to last for 432,000 years. The Great Pyramid of Giza's perimeter is often claimed to be related to the number 432. For example, its perimeter is approximately 43,200 inches when the base length is taken as 756 feet. The number 12 is associated with the heavens, the 12 months, the 12 zodiac signs, and the 12 stations of the moon and the sun. The ancients recognized 12 main northern stars and 12 main southern stars. There are 24, 2 times 12 hours in the day, of which 12 are daytime and the other 12 are nighttime. The number 12 is the product of the sacred and the secular, 3 times 4. It is the sum of the numbers of life and good fortune, 5 plus 7. It thus incorporates many distinct virtues. In Christianity, it is the number of Christ's disciples, and it occurs many times in the Bible, such as in the 12 tribes of Israel. Several cultures have used numbers based on 12 duodecimals. The 12 inches in a foot is one familiar relic of such a system. The number 33 is highly regarded in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, where it represents the highest degree of spiritual achievement. In numerology, it's seen as a master number, symbolizing alignment and spiritual consciousness. Traditionally, Jesus Christ is believed to have been 33 years old at the time of his crucifixion, which some interpret as the fulfillment of his divine mission. Similarly, the historical Buddha is said to have attained enlightenment and passed at the age 33. The human spine is often said to consist of 33 vertebrae when counting the fused bones of the lower spine individually. In ancient Vedic religion, which predates Hinduism, there is mention of 33 deities, known collectively as the Triyas Trimsa. Alchemy often refers to 33 as the point of achieving perfect balance and transformation. Rosicrucianism, an esoteric Christian tradition, also holds the number 33 in high esteem, associating it with the highest spiritual consciousness a human can attain. In Kabbalah, there are 33 paths on the Tree of Life, each representing states of awareness on the spiritual journey. Some esoteric thinkers also look at the Earth's axial tilt, approximately 23.5 degrees, and see its sum with the perfect right angle at symbolizing universal harmony at 33 degrees. Hinduism believes that the external world should reflect our inner spiritual journey because ultimately they're interconnected. Central to this belief is the significance of the number 108. It represents the distance between our physical body and the divine essence within us. According to Ayurveda, a Sanskrit term meaning the science of life. Our bodies contain 108 mama points, vital energy centers. Thus, chanting mantras 108 times signifies a journey toward our highest spiritual self, with each chant bringing us closer to realizing the divine within. This number holds importance in meditation too, with 108 styles believed to exist. In pranayama, achieving enlightenment is said to come from maintaining such inner calm that one breathes only 108 times daily. An average person breathes around 21,600 times daily, with 10,800 breaths attributed to solar energy and the same to lunar energy. In Hinduism, the body houses 7 chakras associated with vital energy centers. For instance, the heart chakra has 108 energy lines converging to facilitate transformation and compassion. Hindu texts include 108 Upanishads, and the Sanskrit alphabet comprises 54 letters, each embodying feminine and masculine qualities. Buddhism also recognizes the power of 108 with references to earthly desires, lies, and delusions. This mystical number extends even to astrology, where relationships between the sun, earth, and moon manifest in multiples of 108. In time, 60 is the number of seconds in a minute and the number of minutes in an hour. It is a legacy of the Babylonian number system. It represents the number of feet in the standard measurement tool to evaluate an automotive launch on a drag strip as the time to travel the track's first 60 feet. It's also significant as the number of miles per hour an automobile accelerates from rest, 0 to 60, serving as one of the standard performance measurements. 60 occurs several times in the Bible, such as the age of Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born, and the number of warriors escorting King Solomon. In the laws of kashrut of Judaism, 60 is the proportion, 60 to 1, of kosher to non-kosher ingredients that can render an admixture kosher post facto. The ancient Sumerians used the base 12 system 4,000 years ago instead of base 10. This seems natural as 12 is the number of finger segments, 3 for each finger that one can count with one's thumb. 4 fingers times 3 segments equals 12. The moon goes through one full cycle of phases in about 29.5 days. 365 days divided by 29.5 days is a little over 12. Thus, a year was split into 12 segments. The ancient Babylonians inherited this Sumerian 12 concept and marked the passage of the year with 12 constellations of the zodiac. They also used a base 60 system and divided a circle into 360 degrees. As base of 60, each degree could be subdivided into 60 subsegments or minutes, and those 60 subsegments could be further subdivided into 60 seconds and so on. The number 7 has numerous meanings in Judaism and Christianity and is noted frequently in the Bible. 7 is also important in Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. In the Old Testament, God created the world in 6 days while resting on the 7th day. There are 7 days of the week, 7 continents, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 chakras, and 7 wonders of the world. There are 7 deadly sins in the Bible, 7 layers of purgatory, and 7 sacraments in the Catholic Church. The book of Revelation speaks of 7 stars, 7 trumpets, even 7 seals, 7 angels, 7 churches, and 7 plagues. Philosopher and patron St. Thomas Aquinas revealed 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit: wisdom, understanding, knowledge, counsel, fortitude, piety, and fear of the Lord. Then God blessed the 7th day and made it holy because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. Genesis 2:3. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Genesis 41:47. The 7 days eat bread made without yeast, and on the 7th day hold a festival to the Lord. Exodus 13:6. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches. Revelations 1:20. The sacred geometric symbol, known as the seed of life, comprises 7 circles of the same size. Sacred geometry is a school of thought that derives mathematical meaning and relationships from geometrical objects in nature. The 6 outer circles of the seed of life reference the 6 days of creation from the book of Genesis, while the center circle represents the 7th day as the day of rest. In the Rig Veda, the earliest book of the Vedas, there are 7 heavenly fortresses, 7 rays of the sun, 7 seasons, 7 Adityas or gods, 7 races of men, and 7 parts of the world. Surya, the Hindu sun god, rode a golden chariot across the sky led by 7 horses. Hinduism also discusses the 14 realms of existence, 7 upper worlds or heavens, and 7 underworlds of hell. The number pi is a mathematical constant that is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, approximately equal to 3.14159. The number pi appears in many formulae across mathematics and physics. It is an irrational number, meaning it cannot be expressed exactly as a ratio of 2 integers, although fractions such as 22 divided by 7 are used to approximate it. Consequently, its decimal representation never ends nor enters a permanently repeating pattern. It is a transcendental number, meaning that it cannot be a solution to an equation involving only finite sums, products, powers, and integers. The transcendence of pi implies that it is impossible to solve the ancient challenge of squaring the circle with the compass and straight edge. Pi represents the relationship between a circle's circumference and diameter. No matter how big or small the circle, this ratio remains constant. Such unchanging properties are called constants. Pi's simplicity, easily measured even with a string, has made it a fascination for centuries. One method involves constructing a physical wheel and rolling it out, yielding just a digit or 2 of accuracy. Another approach is to use polygons to approximate a circle. It becomes trickier with more sides. The golden ratio, symbolized by the Greek letter phi, has been a subject of fascination in art for centuries. The mathematical formula approximating 1.61803398874989482 2045 is often heralded as a universal rule for creating beauty and harmony in artistic works. The golden ratio in art is a mathematical proportion of approximately 1 to 1.618 used to create aesthetically pleasing compositions. It appears in nature and has been applied in art and architecture throughout history for its harmonious and balanced visual appeal. Ancient Greek mathematicians first studied the golden ratio because of its frequent appearance in geometry. Dividing a line into extreme and mean ratios is essential in the geometry of regular pentagrams and pentagons. According to one story, 5th century BC mathematician Hippasus discovered that the golden ratio was neither a whole number nor a fraction, surprising Pythagoreans. Euclid's Elements provide several propositions and their proofs employing the golden ratio. 137 has been the subject of psychological speculation by Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung concerning his theory of synchronicity. Jung and physicist Wolfgang Pauli struggled in their search for a primal number that everything in the world hinges on and a desire to quantify the unconscious. Since the early 1900s, physicists have postulated that the number could lie at the heart of a grand unified theory relating theories of electromagnetism, quantum mechanics, and gravity. 1 divided by 137 was once believed to be the exact value of the fine structure constant. The fine structure constant, a dimensionless physical constant, is approximately 137, and the astronomer Arthur Eddington conjectured in 1929 that its reciprocal was precisely the integer 137, which he claimed could be obtained by pure deduction. This conjecture was not widely adopted, and by the 1940s the experimental values for the constant were inconsistent with the conjecture, roughly 1 divided by 137.036. In 2021, researchers at the Kassler-Brossel laboratory in Paris reported the most precise measurement yet, determining the value to be 137.035999206, with an accuracy of 81 parts per trillion. The Earth is tilted at an angle of 23.5 degrees, causing it to lean in one direction as it orbits the Sun consistently. This tilt and the varying sunlight exposure throughout the year are the primary factors behind the changing seasons. As different regions of the Earth receive varying amounts of sunlight, seasons shift accordingly. For instance, when the North Pole leans towards the Sun, it's summer in the Northern Hemisphere and winter in the Southern Hemisphere. Due to Earth's 23.5 degree axis and significant mass, its rotational motion exhibits gyroscopic precession. A cube has 6 faces, each of which is a square. These faces are identical in size and shape, forming the cube's 6 sides. When a cube is unfolded or flattened, it reveals 6 square faces that can be arranged in various configurations. In particle physics, quarks are fundamental particles that make up protons and neutrons, components of atomic nuclei. There are 6 types of quarks known as flavors, which are classified into 3 pairs based on their properties. These 6 quarks interact through the strong force mediated by particles called gluons, contributing to the complex structure and behavior of subatomic particles. In numerology, 6 is often associated with harmony, balance, and nurturing energies. Some interpret it as a number of services and responsibilities, urging individuals to prioritize their duties and care for others. In religious and mythological contexts, 6 is linked to concepts of creation, cosmic order, and the balance between opposing forces. Its appearance suggests a universal resonance, inviting contemplation on the interconnectedness of life and the cyclical nature of existence. The ancient Egyptians and others used the year with 365 days. Julius Caesar instituted the Julian calendar, in which a year has an extra day if its number is evenly divided by 4, 8, 1996, 2000, 2004. Thus, the average year has 365 days plus 1/4, equaling 365.25 days. The true length of a year on Earth is 365.2422 days, or about 365.25 days. We keep our calendar in sync with the seasons by having most years 365 days long, but making just under 1/4 of all 366-day leap years. The speed of light in vacuum, commonly denoted as c, is a universal physical constant equal to 299,792,458 meters per second, approximately 300,000 kilometers per second, or 186,000 miles per second, and 671 million miles per hour. According to the special theory of relativity, c is the upper limit for the speed at which conventional matter or energy carrying information can travel through space. DNA is one of the 4 essential micromolecules for life. Each DNA strand is made up of simpler units called nucleotides, comprised of 4 nitrogen-containing bases: cytosine, guanine, adenine, and thymine, attached to a sugar and phosphate group. The nitrogenous bases pair A with T and C with G, forming hydrogen bonds encoding genetic information. There are 8 planets in the solar system. Pluto is no longer considered a planet. From the Sun, the order of the planets is as follows: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. There are 8 phases of the Moon, based on the Moon's position to Earth and the Sun. New Moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, waning gibbous, first quarter, waning crescent. With 8 electrons, oxygen has an electron configuration where the first 2 electrons occupy the 1s orbital. Since the 1s orbital can hold only 2 electrons, the next 2 electrons for oxygen fill the 2s orbital. The remaining 4 electrons accommodate in the 2p orbital. The value 1.38 times 10 by the power of minus 23, known as Boltzmann's constant, plays a fundamental role in statistical mechanics, a branch of physics that describes the behavior of large systems of particles. It is a crucial link between temperature, energy, and entropy relations within these systems. Boltzmann's constant relates the average kinetic energy of particles in a substance to its temperature, providing a quantitative measure of thermal energy. It connects the microscopic behavior of individual particles to macroscopic properties like temperature and entropy, allowing for the prediction and understanding of thermodynamic phenomena such as phase transitions, chemical reactions, and heat transfer. Euler's number, E, refers to a mathematical expression for the base of the natural logarithm. This is represented by a non-repeating number that never ends. The first few digits of Euler's number are 2.71828. The letter E usually represents the number and is commonly used in problems relating to exponential growth or decay. You can also interpret Euler's number as the base for an exponential function whose value always equals its derivative. E is the only possible number that x increases at a rate of x for every possible x.